Mhm.
And she, I think more than once, like sent me like cupcakes or something. It was like, hey, like I know you're having a stressful day right now. Like, good luck. You're almost through this. And I think that was like, what really helped me realize like, okay, like this is more than someone I can go out and have fun with. Like
Mm.
this is someone
Oh.
who's like thinking of like how they can support me and everything. And like I still have I don't it's somewhere on my desk here. But my desk is a mess now. She actually like bought cupcakes and like decorated the box and everything for my closing date. So like I told her like I wanted to spend the first night in my new house like after it closed. We showed up in basically just an air mattress and like like there's nothing else in the room. We didn't have a fridge. We had nothing. But I was like, you know what? I want to spend the first night in my brand new house. And that was something that she was willing to do. And she brought like some apple cider and like some glasses
Oh.
and everything. And so like those are the kinds of things that she does that like made me realize like this is someone, this is a partner, right? Like
Right. Hey guys, welcome to another one of my videos where I'm so excited for you to hear an exciting story of someone that I've worked with, and he's transformed so much over the time, and he's willing to share his experience with you and where he is now. So today I have Daniel. Hi Daniel, how are you doing?
Hi, pretty good.
Yay, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So let's just hop right in so everyone can start to get to know you. So, can you first tell me a little bit about who you are, where you started, and a short summary of where you are now?
Okay. My name's Daniel. I'm 31 right now. Located in the Bay Area, software engineer. Prior to working with Ruby, I had, just gotten out of like a 7-year relationship or something like that. And like before that, like didn't actually do much dating. Like pretty much was like first relationship out of college into like a 7-year relationship. And so I was just like, I don't know, where we're going right now. And right now, I'm in a. It's been like 6 months since I met this girl, and we've been having a really good time together. And life is going pretty great.
Yay! So you're happily in a relationship, and it was so adorable the way you told me and you sent me photos. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this. I love seeing those updates." Um, so, so let's backtrack first a little bit, and then we'll get into what you just said about getting into a relationship. What did you worry about before? Like, what did you think made dating harder for you when you started?
I think I just worried about everything. Uh, I mean, like I feel like in my previous relationship, like my first relationship, it was. I almost feel like a part of that was like I didn't know how to date. I didn't know what
Mm,
dating was, and so I feel like a small part of that was like, oh, I'm in this relationship because then I don't need to figure out dating, right? Like,
ah,
if you're already in a relationship, you don't need to figure it out. But then that also kind of like set the stage weirdly. There's that backdrop of like, okay, like, if things aren't working out, you're like kind of reluctant to make any changes and whatnot. Cause you're like, I was like, well, I don't want to date. And that's like staying in an unhappy relationship or something was like in the moment, less scary of two evils to me.
I see. Yeah, no, that
So
makes
I just
sense.
felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know anything. Didn't know what to wear. Didn't know what apps to use. Like pretty much
Mm.
everything.
Right. And remind me, before you started working with me, did you try out the apps before and kind of dabbled in it, but you were kind of confused about how it worked, or did you just newly, start?
I had been using some of the apps. I feel like this is a story that you've probably heard many times of just like like one of my close friends like, all right, we're gonna get you out of this like sad post breakup hole. I'm gonna help you set up your profile and we're gonna get you out on some dates. And so I didn't really know what to put for my profile. We definitely spent like an afternoon together, me and my friend, and just like going through my like camera roll, like, all right, we're gonna use this, we're gonna put these random things about you. And we just like cobbled together a profile. There was no real plan. It was just, like kind of like with the best intentions, but still very amateur hour. So, I had a couple of matches, but then I also didn't really know how to carry the conversations.
Mm.
And, there were like a lot of like, I feel like negative feedback cycles of like, oh, like they're not responding. And, then I just started like feeling like I was tiring out of the dating apps and everything.
Right. That's where, especially if you were just trying it out, you can easily feel exhausted after a while because you're like, what does work? What's not working? What am I doing wrong? So you're asking a lot of those questions. So it kind of brings back to what you said, just feeling like you're just not sure of
Yep.
any of it, right? All right. So what do you think was the biggest obstacle you overcame or the most helpful knowledge you gained?
I feel like in working with you, and it wasn't just for dating, but I feel like just across the rest of my life is like not not letting other people like have that much influence and control over my life. And for me, prior to my first relationship, I definitely had a lot of like close friends that I was like romantically interested in. And
Mm,
there was, just a lot of like kind of general fear of like, oh, well, I like care too much about what other people think. I didn't want to offend them because I still wanted to be friends. And, kind
yeah.
of like in the back of my head, I was like, oh, but, maybe it'll be something more one day. And I think, ever since working with you, I was like, you know what, like if there's something I want, I'm just going to go for it. And making sure that I have the right mindset, right? If you set your mind to like, okay, I have to end up with this one person, then you're setting yourself up for failure. But if you're like, I want to be in a good, like fulfilling relationship, not specifically with say like Taylor Swift or something, right? Like that's completely unrealistic. Like finding something that's realistic and achievable, and then like giving myself almost like permission to go and do what I want, right? Rather than letting
Mm.
fears and whatnot hold me back.
Wow, that's huge, powerful. I can't snap, but if I could snap right now, that's what I'd be doing because I've always said mindset is so key to success. And I remember when we started working together, there was a lot of fear within you. You would kind of say, "Oh, but what if she does this?" But oh no, she did this, and now I feel awful. And what I like to say to clients is, you don't want people to have power over you. That's the
Mhm.
word. You want to hold your own power. You want to empower yourself. But when you're allowing all these other girls, even though they're your friends, to hold you in that way, hold that power, it can get very dangerous. So it seemed like you came back to a place of just taking one step at a time, being present, but like you said, doing what you want to do, and feeling confident in that. So that's really awesome. I love that. So give us a summary of how my specific guidance has kind of helped you get those dates afterwards, and obviously your girlfriend now. But how do you think my actual guidance helped you in that?
I feel like I feel like it's very similar. Like I just got a puppy, and you can read a lot of stuff online, but like I've had a trainer come, and it's like, okay, you're supposed to take them out, and this is how you're supposed to get them to like potty outside. And you can read, like a million paragraphs, but there's definitely something to like having a trainer physically come and be like, okay, this is how you hold the leash, like this is where you stand, this is how you react in this specific situation. And having a professional like kind of like read the room for you, if you will. And
Mm,
I felt like that's kind of what you helped me do during dating. Like I didn't feel like anything you told me was like that much of a secret, or
right.
like
Agree.
any kind of like ruby secret sauce or anything, but it's just kind of like, okay, but I could read one situation and read it the wrong way and then apply the wrong things. And so just like having your guiding hand of like, no, like that's bullshit. Like, like don't put up with that from her. She's just
Mm,
playing games or like things like that. Like I felt like that
mm.
was the most helpful. And then also, I feel like the other bit was just like kind of holding me accountable. Like there are definitely parts where I was just like, okay, like I'm feeling kind of lazy. I don't really want to do this. And I feel like you struck a really good balance of like not not being like, like drill sergeant boot camp, like I'm gonna whip you into shape whether
Yeah,
you like it or
right.
not. But at the same time, like not letting me give you bullshit and get away with it, right? Like I like
Right.
you gave me assignments, and if I didn't do them well or something, you'd be like, hey, like, like I asked you to do this, like, like this is your dating life we're working on right now.
Yeah, that's true. And I love how you said that. Like, I don't even know what I would call myself. Like, I'm not an intense football coach, but I'm also not just a cheerleader, right? That's just like, oh
Right.
yay, go, go. It doesn't matter. You do what you want to do. But it's that balance because I still care. And I would like to think you saw that. I care, but I think that's why I would push. So if anything, I would ask you like, so why didn't you do that? And if you gave me an excuse, I'd be like, is that an excuse, Daniel? Is it? And then you and I think I'll remember you'd be like, oh, yeah, it kind of is an excuse. So, but of course, right? There are weeks like we're human. I think there were some weeks where you just felt off, or it was really tough. And so we're like, okay, let's just take a break or let's just talk and then see how it goes. So it's a balance, but I'm glad that there was that balance for you. I think you saw how important it was to you too, and you never just kind of gave it all up, you know? You still decided for yourself, no, I want to do this. And obviously it led you to where you are now. So thanks for that. I appreciate you saying all that about, well, me. So tell us a little bit more about specifically how you're feeling now. Like, what is it? Like, I know a lot of people when they're single and they imagine what it's like to have that girlfriend, they're like, what it like, I can't even imagine what it'd be like. What would I do with her? How do we hang out? So give a little descriptor of how you're feeling now to be in this kind of relationship and how you enjoy your two's connection or enjoy each other's company.
I think for me it's I feel like in like high school I had this like I don't know, like Disney princess view of like what life was going to be like after you meet like, Prince Charming or Cinderella or something like that. It's not like that. It's better.
Mhm.
But it's not like, every day I just wake up and I want to go sing a musical or something. But just kind of having the confidence and knowing that like I can do what I want has really helped me. In the last 6 months, like I've gone changed a job, like got out of a job that I wasn't happy with and went and found a new one
Mhm.
that I like a lot better. And there was definitely a lot of like fear behind that, right? Like there was a lot of fear when you have change.
Mhm.
I bought a house, I moved, I got a dog, and it's just it feels good to finally do a lot of the things that I've been like thinking about and wanting to do, but just like not really having the confidence to execute on.
Wow.
And so I feel like it's just like in general, I'm feeling great. Not just like with my girlfriend. It's not I think like the other part of that is also like not having my life fixated and centered around my girlfriend. Like she is a great and amazing part of my life, but she is not my life. Right.
Oh,
And
I
like
love
I
that.
feel like that's like a very like toxic thing to get into. And it was just like getting the confidence to like be able to share these spaces. Right. So I feel great.
Yay, I love that. And how do you feel? And I love the concept of partnership, right? That's why I've always called, even though he's my fiance now, but I call him my partner. And
Right.
so in choosing her, what did you at least name a couple of things that you saw that you're like, oh, she's a partner? Like I can, especially with everything you had going on, like you say, you got a puppy, a house, there's a lot of things you were doing. How did you already see, like, this person fits right in?
So like back in October, this was actually like the first month we had met. And I definitely set expectations with her. I was like, hey, like I'm in the middle of the closing process right now, and like honestly, my life kind of sucks because like random people are just calling me and I have to pick up these phone calls and answer questions like a million times over because the lenders don't have their stuff together.
Mhm.
And she I think more than once like sent me like cupcakes or something. It was like, hey, like I know you're having a stressful day right now, like good luck, you're almost through this. And I think that was like what really helped me realize like, okay, like this is more than someone I can go out and have fun with. Like
Mm.
this is someone who's
Wow.
like thinking of like how they can support me and everything. And like I still have I don't. It's somewhere on my desk here, but my desk is a mess now. She actually like bought cupcakes and like decorated the box and everything for my closing date. So like I told her like I wanted to spend the first night in my new house like after it closed. We showed up in basically just an air mattress and like like there's nothing else in the room. We didn't have a fridge. We had nothing, but I was like, you know what? I want to spend the first night in my brand new house. And that was something that she was willing to do. And she brought like some apple cider and like some glasses
Oh,
and everything. And so like that was those are the kinds of things that she does that like made me realize like this is someone, this is a partner, right? Like
right.
they're thinking about me and us as opposed to just like us as separate people.
Right. Wow, that's really sweet of her. Like very sweet. And that's a perfect example of what it's like for someone to support you. And I do want to also acknowledge, I don't think we said it, but just for the audience to know, you met her through what?
I met her on Hinge.
There you go. So you made the dating apps work. So you didn't. So it's possible that it works, guys. Um, but that's fantastic. And that also shows that you put yourself out there with your confidence enough that she feels this kind of like an attraction towards you where she wants to do those gestures, right? So I just want to quickly note that as well. So thanks for sharing that and moving forward with our questions. So many people are usually too scared to kind of get help on this vulnerable topic. You kind of touched upon how, oh, you had trouble with your puppy, so you got an expert on that. But still, with this kind of topic, with dating, it can be very shameful, and especially when you are Asian. So, can you speak to that? And what would you say to people who feel a little shameful, potentially asking for my help?
Um, I feel like I had stumbled across you out of the blue, I probably wouldn't have asked you to work with me and help me. But I think at the end of my last relationship, I had gone and taken like just like a relationship communication course, and then I
Mhm.
ultimately from that course I ended up paying the coach for some one-on-one sessions, and that was really helpful for my personal development, and like that was kind of what started a lot of the things. He wanted to help me with online dating, but I didn't really click with him that well.
Mm,
He was like advocating for me to write like a long form, like 3-page essay about myself on OkCupid, and I'm kind of like, that's not what people use nowadays. um, so I think like that was kind of what set the stage. But like I guess what I would have to say for people who are hesitant is like you you don't have any shame going to the doctor when you're sick, right? And like you go to the doctor because the doctor's able to tease out the nuance, right? For us average people, everything just sounds like a cough. But the doctor, like with the
mm,
stethoscope, they're like, oh, like I think you should get this x-rayed. You should get this checked out. Like let me try this medication. And they have this whole list of things to try, right? And you may think that going to the doctor is kind of like a pointless exercise because they'll prescribe you amoxicillin every single time. But the thing you're not seeing is the one time where amoxicillin won't cut it, right? And they're like, oh, like here's this other thing. And so like that's kind of what made like I realized like, well, like we don't like have any kind of shame going for help for the rest of our like for other parts of our life, like, and this is arguably one of the most important parts of your life, right? Like Ruby like works with people on dating, but like it's not just dating, right? Like it's about your mindset and how you hold yourself. And like I don't think you want to go into like life coaching and whatnot, but like you kind of get that like all together as the package, right? Like you can't
yeah.
get dating advice without like general life advice as well. And so,
Right.
for me, like after working with another coach and also even just like, going and talking with a therapist, I was like, yeah, you know what? Like there is no shame in seeking help for this, right? Like these people have gone through a lot of schooling and education, taken a lot of classes and read a lot of case studies about things that like average people just simply cannot have the experience of, right? And
Right.
I would say that it's worthwhile going to a dating coach the same reason it's worthwhile to go to see a doctor, or, to go get a lawyer, whatever, right? Like they
Right.
simply just have that insight that you don't.
Right. Right. No, I great kind of comparison to that. And I love, I also want to quickly note, I feel like I've always said, I don't know if I said to you back then, but I feel like with dating and love, it's such a huge area in your life. It
Mhm,
really is. Like, I don't know how you feel, but when you find that person, it like completely transitions your life to be more fulfilling if you're with, once again, the right person. So it's
mhm.
such a big area, like just as health or fitness, mental, physical, emotional, all those kind of things. But love is a part of it. So, well, I'm curious, what made you think that this investment in me specifically was worth it when you first said yes? What was that kind of clicking moment for you where you're like, oh yeah, okay, I mean, I'll do this with Ruby, especially because, like you said, you had other coaches or relationship coaches and was offered, but
I think
what was
I
it?
think it was just like, I think initially it was just kind of like how we clicked in our conversations. And it's like, it was helpful that you had like a similar approach to a lot of these things, right? Like I said, like the other
Mm,
coach was trying to get me to write like 3 pages about myself, and he literally sent me like this long thing, and I was just like, I'm not doing that. And there were like so many things that was kind of like grinding gears in my head, right? And I was kind of like,
mm,
okay, this might work for you, but like I have so much doubt and skepticism about this. Whereas, like when I was talking with you, I was like, okay, like I believe in like most of what you're saying. I don't necessarily know how to get there, but like there's no like, okay, yeah, this can't possibly work, but like maybe
mm,
I'll humor her, right? Like it was just like, okay, like she gets it, but she probably also knows like more about these things, right? And then I think when we were talking and you were kind of giving me statistics about like, oh, like like this is how like these specific dating apps work. I was definitely like, oh, like, I'm really glad that I reached out to someone who knows this, right? Because
yeah,
on the surface, like every dating app is the same, right? It's an app for your phone that shows
hmm,
pictures and profiles and has some kind of like back and forth messaging system. But like actually understanding how they match people and like what they do to your profile, how they show it, none of that is shown, and that's like what differentiates all the different apps. And if you don't know any of that, like you're kind of flying blind.
right. Oh, awesome. I love all those layers to it. And because obviously you're in a place right now, you went through it, you chose this, and that you people would look at you and say, this is a success. But what qualities do you think one, a client needs to be successful in this like you?
I think I think it's like, I feel like they need to. I don't think you can be the first step in terms of this, right? Like in terms of being successful in dating. Like for me, I had read, like a whole bunch of like, I mean, it sounds very cliche, but like all these like self help books, right? Like there was like Mark Manson's like the subtle art of
Hmm,
not giving a
hmm,
fuck, right? It was just kind of like reading a lot of those mindset books and like kind of like sitting. I had a subscription to Calm. I like did some meditation and just kind of like reflected on a lot of things about the 7 years of like that relationship, what went well, what didn't, and everything. And I feel like I had to have gone through all of that to kind of be in the right headspace. And then like that was like the motivation. And so I feel like like to be successful, it's really weird because it's kind of like it has to be something you care about, but then like you don't care about at the same time. And I feel like right after I got out of that relationship, I was like, man, like I need to figure my stuff out. I need to like go out and date, and I need to like get back into another relationship. And like ironically, like that attitude got me nowhere. And like
Right.
like this current relationship that I'm in, it like just kind of happened. I was kind of like, okay, like I have my life, I'm going about doing things, and if I'm interested in you and we have a good conversation, then I'll continue putting time into this. But if I'm not, like we'll part ways, right? Like no hard feelings, but
Right.
like I'm also not gonna like waste my time on someone that I don't feel a connection with. And it really was once I almost stopped caring about it, right? Like it was no
Mhm.
longer the focus of my life. I stopped thinking about like, man, like I didn't hear back from that girl. I'm so bummed. It was like, okay, like I don't even notice, right? Like I'm messaging people. If they don't respond, who cares? Move on to the next one. So I feel like that's that's what you need to be successful.
I love that. Yeah, it's basically, I mean, twofold, right? It's well, overall umbrella is your mindset, but I think the key there is the desire for yourself to be better. So whether that means reading a book first, meditating first, is all layers, and not only how do I say? You know how they always say the saying like you put your eggs all in one basket. It's not like being so reliant that I will give you all your answers, but that you accept that you also take responsibility in
Mhm.
self improvement yourself, and not completely already being like, well, only Ruby can solve it, and she can't solve it. I don't know what to do. Like so reliant on that. It's
Mhm.
about the balance of it. That's what I'm hearing from what you're saying. So
Mhm.
love it. Awesome. And so the last question I want to ask is normally people who are listening to this, and especially those who have made it to the end, are kind of on the fence about deciding to work with me. So what would you say to them right now?
I would say, what are you waiting for? It was definitely a commitment, right?
Mhm.
It was a financial commitment, it was a time commitment, and everything. But I have no reservations about that. And at the end of the day, this is your life. You can go and continue doing thrift store advice, and you'll get a thrift store life, right? Like go work with Ruby, and like she said, right, like she is not going to be the one person that solves and fixes everything in your life. Nobody can do that. Only you can do that for yourself. But then at the same time, if you are in it to go and if you are motivated to fix your life and change for the better, like work with a coach that knows what she's doing, right? And like this is as much of an investment in your dating life as it is just like yourself, right? Like, for me, after working with her, like I felt like I just had confidence to do whatever I wanted, right? Like it didn't even only center around dating. It was just everything else. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go do it. Like ask for like salary negotiations for my new job. I was like, right, let's go do it, right? What are they gonna do? Reject me because I asked for more money? Right. And so, like getting into that right mindset is so critical. And I feel like Ruby is like really good at being like a gentle but firm coach on that front.
Wow, so many. I don't even the things you say. I wonder if you, and I know we talked about this before, like wrote it all out because thrift store, go having a thrift store life. Like I've never. That needs to be a quote somewhere on those inspirational boards because I was like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. No, but appreciate all the words you said, and guys listening, I hope this, if anything, gives you more to think about in your own decision of how you want, who you want to be, and how you want to get there, and the choices that you make. Because as Daniel said, this is your life. No one can make you do anything, but it's about how you want to live it, and what's fulfilling for you. So, thank you so much, Daniel, for being here today, for kind of walking us through your story and your experience. That was awesome. And thank you guys for listening. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. But if you're willing to make that step, click in the link in the bio and we'll talk soon. But thank you so much, Daniel, and everyone else. Have a good one.
Thank you, Ruby.